This is the Aston Martin Rapide S. It's both beautiful and something to be feared. Not only does it have looks to kill, but the power to scare the living hell out of anything it comes up against. And it seats 4 people, which leads us to ask, does having 4 doors and 4 proper seats make it any less a sports car? The Rapide S is the 2nd generation Rapide, which itself was an answer to a unique problem that many faced in the noughties. You see, buyers wanted a high-end car like an Aston or a Bentley or a Porsche, but they wanted to fit actual adults in the back. They wanted more space, but they didn't want to buy the car du jour, a Range Rover. Aston released the Rapide at the 2009 Geneva Motor Show, and it was something of a looker. A DB9 with a couple of extra doors and devastating Aston looks. A 470 horsepower V12 gave it the go it deserved as well, and all of a sudden Aston had a solution to people that wanted something bigger but didn't want to buy a Range. Now Aston's added an S badge, which is Astonese for made faster. It's got new traction control settings, a new face which apes a basking shark, and a new power output. 550 brake horsepower. A new torque figure too, 427 pound-foot. That's quite a bit and means 0 to 62 happens in 4.9 seconds, and it'll hit 190 miles an hour if you're committed. Its engine now sits lower in the engine bay as well. Better centre of gravity means a better drive, so that's a good thing. Aston has form when it comes to 4 doors. Remember the Lagonda Saloon? Well, the 1st generation came out in the mid-70s, and you probably didn't know about that one. It was a stunning 4-door take on the V8 of the time. Sadly though, only 7 were ever made. The Lagonda you know about came out shortly afterwards, and that was a hugely ambitious car. It had an LED dashboard and touchpads and what have you. It lasted all the way to 1990, and over its time a few special editions came about. Tickford did a few. A company called Ruse Engineering in Switzerland made a shooting brake in 1998, and there was even a Series 4 converted to a 2-door called, interestingly, Rapide. However, it won't go down as one of the world's greats though. The electrics were incredibly complicated. The budget to make them, well, matched the budget to make the entire car. No mean feat, and because they were made in England in the 70s, they constantly failed. They were awful. And then there's the look. It was stylistically interesting and often populates top 10, top 20, top 50 lists of the world's ugliest cars. Oh dear. The Rapide's name, Rapide, also comes from Aston's heritage. It's named after 1961's Lagonda Rapide. Aston's owner, David Brown, had bought Lagonda in the 40s and wanted to revive the brand. It had an engine that would later wind up in the Aston Martin DB5. It was made to order and only 55 were ever produced. A shame because it was beautiful. So it's a thoroughly modern Aston then, and it's got a decent heritage to boot, but as I said earlier, not only is it beautiful, other road users should fear it, because with all that power and Aston's know-how, well, it's got to be pretty special, right? Well, it is. This is a heavy car. It weighs just shy of 2 tons, and you do feel it when you're driving. But the steering is just lovely, as is the throttle response. It just goes, it picks up, it understands you want an angry, shouty GT car. And then you can use the paddles to shift gears as and when you please. And then, well, if you're in the right gear at the right time, the engine just sings. It makes a beautiful, beautiful noise. There's something about an Aston V12, they just get it right, and it comes on song not at the very top of the rev range, but about in the middle, the exploitable bit, so you can have your thrills, overtake and still stay within the legal speed limit if you want to. That's some clever thinking. Because it's quite big and quite heavy, but incredibly well planted, it's not one to really go for it. So you'd have to be really pushing it to exploit that, or you could turn everything off. Yeah, they let you turn everything off because they want you to have fun, because they know that this car isn't only up against things like S-Classes or Range Rovers, this is up against 911s, Bentley Continental GTs, hell, its own cars. So is it the perfect car for the driver who doesn't want to lose a sports car if they have children? Is it the sports car saloon crossover that Aston Martin says it is? Yes, it is. Yeah, it's a bit tricky to get in the back if you're a grown-up, but once you're in there you get to experience full Aston Martin luxury, which is no bad thing at all. So other road users should fear it, because not only is it beautiful, but it's devastating in its execution.